Say hey, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm out doing a little work on my boat, some stuff that actually matters to me. But unless you've been living under a rock or something, you probably know by now that Sony released a new camera, the ZVE1. It looks like a great camera. All the creators, they did a good job kind of going through the specs and everything. But there is a few things that you should probably know before you pre-order this camera that maybe some of the creators either left out or didn't know or failed to mention. Let's just put it that way. First thing we kind of talk about is the body, the ZVE1. That body is going to be super, super tiny, okay? And there's two things going on there. And the grip is going to totally suck, especially if you're going to be using any kind of, you're going to have to put full frame lenses on it. Make no mistake about it. And that grip's going to be really a pain to use. It's really just going to be too small, I'm afraid. Everybody's going to find out. Another thing you should know about that body is the zoom rocker. If you look at it just right, you'll be able to see that it sticks off the end of the grip just a little bit. And you're going to be, if you don't get a cage or something, you're going to be inadvertently hitting that zoom rocker all the time. ZVE10, I had it for a while. I had to constantly hit that zoom rocker all the time. I was hitting it, and finally had to get a cage, and it solved the problem. But just know that that zoom rocker is going to be an issue. Another thing with that body is the selector switch they have on there, the S and Q, the photo, and the video. That's all well and good, and it's pretty easy to use. Just know that, if you're switching in there, if you want to go from 4K 30 to 4K 60 and just straight up video mode, you're going to have to go in and make extra selections. Or if you want to go from maybe 60 to 120p and S and Q, you're going to have to make some extra selections. Or if you want to, in your photo mode, you want to be in aperture mode, maybe you want to go to shutter speed mode or program or manual, you have to make some extra selections while you're in there. So it really looks like a pretty slick way to do things. You just kind of pick whatever mode you want to be in. But in reality, it has a tendency to slow you down because you're always going to pick, if you want to change something, you're going to have to go in and select that. That takes time. Whereas the mode dial on top seems to be just a lot faster way to do things. In my opinion, the first thing you're going to have to do straight off the bat is you're going to have to order a cage. Don't even put it in your cart without ordering a cage, because you're going to get this camera in your hands and you're going to realize that right away a cage is going to be necessary for good operation of this camera. We can talk overheating just a little bit. Like this camera is supposed to do 4K 60, 4K 30, and eventually 4K 120. None of the creators today seem to mention anything about overheating, very much at all. But I just find that really hard to believe. Every camera that I've had with 4K 60 or 4K 120, they've been, fairly large bodies, and they had some kind of active cooling going on at all times with the camera. So if Sony pull this off and they can get 4K 60 out of that little bitty body with no active cooling, and they're going to add 4K 120 later on, full frame, full readout, even with the 12 megapixel sensor, and they have unlocked something special. But I just don't see how they're going to be able to pull this off without overheating. Like today, saw a lot of videos out today. I didn't see one video of anybody had any shorts on. All the videos I saw, people were looking like they were pretty cold environments, or at least indoor environments. So I think overheating is going to be an issue, but it's not being brought to the forefront quite yet. The other thing I'd like to talk about is all the AI features. Man, they were showing all these AI features, like, man, the camera will kind of follow you around and center you up and zoom in and zoom out and do all this, and it has breathing compensation and all this super active stabilization. Man, it all just looks so good. It's so awesome. But one thing I'm interested in, I don't know, I didn't catch this today and I don't know for a fact, but are all those AI features going to work with, you know, third-party lenses? I mean, I don't know. Something you should probably look into if you're thinking about, you know, buying this camera. Some of the features of Sony cameras work with third-party lenses, some of them don't. So I guess the main question is whether I'm going to pre-order or not. And I think I will. I'll at least get in the line because the line's going to be long. If you don't get in it early, you're going to be left out for quite a while. But there's a couple of things about the release of the ZVE1 that gives me a clear indication of where Sony is going. And that's probably one of the reasons I will probably wind up pre-ordering this camera is the A7S III is never going to get an update, ever. It's a great camera as it is, but it's missing a lot of the newer features, and it's never going to get them. They're never going to bring it to that camera, so there's no use of continuing to hold out or hope they bring them to the camera, because it's not happening. It's not happening. And I think it's time to move on from that camera. And also, I think that this signals, at least to me, that they're not going to bring out the A7C2. I just don't think they're going to bring that to market, at least this year. This will be the only small camera, in my opinion, this will be the only small camera that they bring out full frame. And another one of the reasons that I'm thinking about ordering this camera is I've come to the conclusion that I just like full frame better than I do APS-C. For whatever reason. I mean, I have tried and tried to make APS-C work in my bag, and I just don't like it as good as I like APS-C. I mean, I've tried the Sony APS-C, I've tried Canon APS-C, I've tried Fuji APS-C, you know, and I just can't seem to get it to look the way I want to. Now I know that you can get, you know, you can switch over to all those, you know, 1.4 lenses, and you know, get all these great lenses for the APS-C line, and those do make your picture look, you know, awfully good. But the time you get those 1.4 lenses on a small APS-C body, you kind of lost the whole allure of APS-C, which in my opinion is kind of a small, lightweight camera. So, you know, to me, it just doesn't make it just a whole lot of sense. And again, I'm not getting exactly what I want out of the APS-C. Like for video, it does fine. Like this one right here, it'll look fine and it'll do fine. But you know, when you start taking photographs with it, you're just kind of look at them like, you know, they just don't blow me away ever. APS-C never has. So I'm going to try to consolidate my kit into maybe just a few cameras, you know. I'm going to try to consolidate my kit a whole lot. But I think the majority of that's going to be full frame. Of course, part of paring down my bag is going to buy an additional camera. That don't make it just a whole lot of sense. But I think it'll help me. I think it'll help me, and I can get everything down to my full frame kit and just like 3 or 4 lenses in my bag at one time, and be set to go for anything I need. That's just a few things to keep in mind if you're planning on ordering this camera. You also have to keep in mind that those creators that release videos today, you know, they're paid to make that camera look good. And boy, they did they ever. So they're not going to mention any of the downfalls that may, you know, come up with this camera, but there may be some pitfalls out there, and you should probably try to keep those in mind if you're planning on pre-ordering it, because they could come out and bite you in the rear later on. If it don't overheat, it's going to be groundbreaking camera, but that's yet to be seen. And also another thing, them adding 4K 120 with a firmware, you know, update later on, you know, that's something you're going to take that with a grain of salt, because Sony and their firmware upgrades are, you know, they're far and few between. That's something I don't know that you can count on, you know, wholeheartedly, but that's what they say. We'll see when it happens, I guess. Leave down in the comments what you think the ZVE1 is going to be. Is it going to be great? Is it going to be groundbreaking? Is it going to be a complete dud? I don't know. I'll be interested to hear what you had to think. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.